Hey everybody, I'm just making this video because I wanted to talk about the different ranges when it comes to electric vehicles, and it's sort of exposing the current electric vehicle market, and not just specifically Tesla. But the only vehicle that can avoid this problem is any electric vehicle that has battery swap capabilities. And the only company that I'm aware of that actually has battery swap technology being refined and improved daily and building an infrastructure to accommodate it and having battery as a service as a leasing program is NIO, which is also viewed as a battery management company. But it's not only that either, right? It has a lot of potential to be the leader in premium electric vehicles and whatnot. But I wanted to talk about the disservice that electric vehicle companies are doing and placing on top their customers, and the huge burden that people don't really realize. And if you're a current electric vehicle owner, or if you plan to own one, or if you're an investor in any electric vehicle company, it's important that you know this. So here's what I want to talk about. It doesn't matter what vehicle you buy, but we'll just use Tesla for example. It could be Xpeng, Lucid Motors, Rivian, Tesla. It can be any of these electric vehicle companies. And what you need to understand is that range anxiety is one of the biggest factors that prevents people from purchasing an electric vehicle and transitioning over. Because if you could offer an electric vehicle that offers the same range as an ICE or a hybrid vehicle, people would be switching over immediately. The problem is that we don't have it, and it's not convenient for someone to switch over yet because of the availability of gas stations. So what we have here is Tesla, and I'm just going to use this as an example. Again, it can be any electric vehicle company. So what I want to do is that I want to break down the range comparisons amongst these vehicles and why it's important to understand this. So what we have here is a basic demonstration of the current costs of standard electric vehicles, their miles that they offer, and the horsepower. But I don't really want to talk about these aspects too much because it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, but it's not going to help what I'm trying to push onto you. It's the cost and the range of miles. Look, it costs $35,000 for a 220 miles of range Tesla. Okay, my used ICE vehicle from years and years ago has better mileage than this. Okay, 220. The Chevy Bolt costs $37,000 and offers 238. The Kia Soul offers 93 miles of range and costs $32,000. Do you see how ridiculous this is? So that's a huge burden that you're placing onto the consumer, because if you end up buying these vehicles, you're stuck with this degrading battery that keeps depreciating and depreciating in value, depreciating in quality, depreciating in range, and this happens over time. And this goes for almost all the Tesla vehicles, right? But this could also be for Xpeng as well. But look, if we look at the Model S, it's $79,000. Model 3, $48,000. The Model X, $84,000, and $52,000 for the Model Y. And the range is only 391 miles, 322, 351, and 316. That's not that much. It is in terms of current electric vehicles, but it's not that much overall, especially when you compare it to hybrids, which pretty much triple that range on average, or double it with the ICE vehicle at significantly less in cost. So the main issue is that you're going to be stuck with these batteries. Okay, so the exterior and interior of these vehicles may be very beautiful, right? It doesn't matter which model you buy, what electric vehicle you purchase, but you're stuck with these vehicles that have a degrading battery. So while the exterior and interior is really nice, the battery keeps losing value, and a lot of the vehicle's value comes from the battery. Now you may say that it's okay for some customers, but clearly it's not, because if you look at the type of consumers that are currently purchasing Teslas or most electric vehicles, they're in areas where the infrastructure is properly planned out, or they work jobs where they don't need to, travel long distances, and they're not, these are second options to their current ICE vehicles, right? In most cases, there's also a lot of subsidies backed behind these, because otherwise people wouldn't be buying electric vehicles because they place too much burden on the consumer. So in 5 years, okay, let's go into solid state batteries. So partial solid state batteries are planning to be released by next year, right? So let's take a look. Neo solid state battery. You know what? Let's try something else. So the ET7 range is a partial solid state battery. It has over 600 miles of range, and that's going to be expected to be released in the later half of 2022. So by then, the standard of batteries by 2022 and 2023 is going to be 600 miles or more. And every year that passes by, the battery technology is going to be increasing because we have more capital from Wallstreet and U.S. and Chinese governments all around the world pouring more money into research and development for battery technology. So while we may have a partial solid state battery that offers 600 miles of range plus by the end of 2022 and 2023, companies like QuantumScape, for example, are poised to release mass production of solid state batteries, I believe, in 2023 or 2024. So by 2 to 3 years from now, the standard of range will be, more than 600 miles. The problem is that if you wanted to potentially upgrade your current Tesla, Chevy Bolt, Kia, or any of these traditional automakers, it's going to cost a lot of money. So let's see. How much does it cost to replace a Tesla battery? So let's see. Here we go. So this is the Powerwall. Tesla battery replacement. Well, this isn't really. Here we go. So let's see. How much does it cost to get a new battery in a Tesla? So what we have to understand about Tesla is that Tesla has, the infrastructure in order to accommodate electric vehicle users, right? More so than, I would assume, Ford or Rivian or Lucid. Well, Lucid doesn't sell anything, Rivian doesn't either, but Ford and Xpeng, maybe Xpeng, I don't know about Xpeng for sure. But look, it costs, a starting price of $12,000 to $13,000 to replace the battery. Then it costs $100 and $200 more for miscellaneous parts, and $500 to $600 for labor. This puts the grand total around $13,000 to $14,000. So that means if you bought this Model 3 with 220 miles of range for $35,000, if you want to upgrade that battery, it's going to cost you, let's see, $13,000 to $14,000 for the same battery. That's ridiculous, because the higher echelons of range batteries, they cost around $41,000. But this is going to cost an additional $13,000 to $14,000 to upgrade this battery. I mean, to switch out the battery for the same battery, which is going to bring it to almost $50,000 just to get the same battery and swap it out. This doesn't even include that, in 2023, when solid state batteries become, more normalized, and QuantumScape and Cattel, the Chinese battery manufacturers, start, and all these other Samsung and all these other battery manufacturers start producing solid state batteries, you're going to be stuck with this vehicle that has 220 miles of range, while everybody else is driving the new standard of range for electric vehicles, which is going to be 600, 700, 800 miles plus, because of the partial solid state batteries or full solid state batteries. And then what's after that? Is there even a better battery after that? A more refined solid state battery? So, do you see what the problem here is? the Kia Soul may offer 93 miles of range if you buy it in 2021 for their cheapest model or whatever. But a Kia Soul in 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now may cost around the same amount, but offer 600 miles of range, if not more. So do you see that how much that sucks? Because one, you have to consider the retention value. What makes the vehicle so valuable is the fact that it has a long shelf life, and that it can always it's able to keep up with the standard of vehicle. But what makes electric vehicle so different is that the standard of the vehicle is set more by the range that is given by the vehicle. So these meager ranges below 250 is gonna be obsolete in 1, 2, 3 years from now, when partial solid state batteries come out or full solid state batteries come out, because the standard of range is going to be 600 miles. So even if you buy these Teslas, yes, the interior and exterior may look nice to you, but I'm assuming that if you buy any of these electric vehicles, the long range mild version, the most highest version, you're going to be paying these high amounts for these ranges of battery. And then when the solid state battery comes out, or partial solid state battery comes out, you're probably going to get maybe 600, 700, 800 miles of range instead of these numbers. And you're going to be paying the same amount, right? You're going to be paying the same amount. So this puts a lot of burden on the customer, because if you went out and tried to resell your vehicle, even if you wanted to replace it with a solid state battery, which we don't know if Tesla is capable of doing, or any of these electric vehicle companies are capable of doing, of swapping it out conveniently, or even if they're compatible with the solid state battery, it's going to cost $13,000 to $14,000 just to replace it with the same battery. This isn't the additional cost of the solid state batteries. And also because you're technically upgrading the battery from the current one that you own, which is going to make the vehicle cost more, right? Which is why we had different types of Teslas, and why each one's cost different amounts. But the only company that really understands this concept is NIO. And I have to say this because, again, I am a very early investor in Tesla, okay? My average is in the 30s, and I saw NIO as a better bet, because NIO understands that because the electric vehicles, there's more money being thrown into R&D, that we're going to be making huge advancements in the technology and self-autonomous driving technology, that the battery is what makes the vehicle so valuable, the range. Only NIO can allow users to easily swap their vehicles out through the battery swap station. So a NIO user can go into their over 500 different swap stations and have their vehicle in less than 3 minutes swap their battery out for a better battery through their NIO services and NIO swap stations. So that means if you have, let's just say a 100 kilowatt hour battery currently with NIO, when the 150 kilowatt hour battery comes out, or a partial solid state battery comes out, you can conveniently swap out your battery through these swap stations and upgrade your battery to an even farther range. So you'll have that 600, 700, 800 mile vehicle, while everybody else who bought an electric vehicle today, or prior to today or tomorrow, is going to be stuck with their electric vehicles with these low ranges. Because again, even if you wanted to swap these batteries out or upgrade your battery, it costs $13,000 to $14,000 just to swap your battery out. This does not include the cost to upgrade your lithium-ion battery to a solid-state battery or a partial solid-state battery. Do you see what I'm saying? This is a huge burden that they're placing onto the consumer, and once customers realize this, people are going to be pissed, because if you wanted to sell your Tesla Model 3 with 220 miles of range, and you want to upgrade it to maybe a Model 3 in 2023 or 2022 with the solid state battery, which maybe gives 500, 600 700 miles of range, or if you want to upgrade it to the hatchback, right? If you want to upgrade it to the, let's see, or if you wanted to upgrade it to the Tesla hatchback, which supposedly is going to cost $25,000 and offer 250 miles of range, so you're getting a 30-mile upgrade, which kind of sucks. You know, how is this gonna be able to retain its value? It's not, because people are better off just buying the hatchback because it has 30 more miles of range. It's newer, it has more, you know, integrated technology, supposedly better quality, maybe, and it's going to offer more range. But, you know, even if you did want to sell this for, I don't know, let's just say you want to sell your Tesla Model 3 with 220 miles of range that you bought for $35,000, you want to sell it for at least $25,000 or $30,000. I've seen people try to sell their Teslas for just slightly less than the sticker value, which is just insane in my opinion, because they probably caught on to this. You know, if you end up buying this, if you try to resell this, why wouldn't someone just buy a $35,000 Tesla Model 3 with a solid state battery for around the same amount, or a Tesla Model 3, you know, in 2025, which has partial solid state battery or full on solid state battery with 600 plus miles of range for, you know, give or take around the same amount. So, you know, this is the long range version, right? And you know, you cannot place the price of the manufacturing onto the consumers too much, right? Because, you know, even if you were to have solid state batteries, they have to mass produce these things, or else they're gonna have to market these vehicles too high, and they wouldn't be able to generate enough profits. So you have to understand that, you know, just because the technology is significantly better and it offers more range does not mean that they're going to increase their prices tremendously to reflect the increased range. They're going to keep their vehicles around the same amount. So let's use this for an example, because I know I don't have anything planned out. I just speak on the top of my head. But let's just pretend you buy a Model S. Let's just pretend you buy any of these vehicles, right? And you have you know, 322 miles of range, and you buy this for $50,000. Let's just round it up. Well, in 2023, 2024, 2025, you know, you're going to have solid state batteries integrated into these vehicles in the new lineup and new generation of these vehicles, and they might offer 600, 700, 800 miles of range, right? And it's going to be around the same price. You know, it's going to be give or take around the same price. So the resale value for these, you know, maybe if you could sell it today for, you know, anywhere between $40,000 to $45,000 for this vehicle for a used one, if you keep it in good condition, why would anyone buy it for anywhere near that amount when they can just buy the same vehicle with a solid state battery which offers double or triple the range? You see what I'm saying? So they're placing a huge burden on the consumer. And, you know, even if you were to sell this for $40,000, right? Let's just say you sold this to some fool who bought it for $40,000. If they want the solid state battery, well, they're gonna have to pay $13,000 to $14,000 on top the additional $50,000, you know, $40,000, which already brings it up to $52,000, $55,000. And then to upgrade to a solid state battery, it will cost even more than the $13,000 to $14,000 to swap out the battery, because you're upgrading the battery from a lithium ion to a solid state battery. So it may cost $60,000, $65,000. We don't know the prices yet, but do you see what I'm saying? It makes no sense for it. In terms of retention value, the vehicle cannot retain its value because, yes, the interior and exterior is nice, but the range and the burden to swap the battery out and the cost of that is so high that it's not practical or convenient or even cost efficient to do so. So the used electric vehicle market has to market their vehicle down tremendously because of how rapidly the technology is improving when it comes to battery technology. So if you buy an electric vehicle today or tomorrow or yesterday, you're stuck with these terrible ranges that will become obsolete in the next 3 years or 4 years or 2 years or even 1 year when partial or solid state batteries come out. Again, there's no point in buying these low range vehicles because they become irrelevant very, very rapidly. They cannot have a good shelf life, they cannot have a good retention value, not like an ICE vehicle or a hybrid. This is because with hybrids or ICE vehicles, they're always going to have high gas mileage, right? They're always going to have these relatively high gas mileages, right? So it's something that I don't see many people talk about. I don't think Elon Musk has ever really came out and addressed this issue, but it's a really big issue moving forward because when people when people are stuck driving their 200 range electric vehicles while everybody's driving 600, 700, 800 mile vehicles, and they pay the same amount for a ranged vehicle with triple the range, they're going to understand and catch on that the retail value of the used car market for electric vehicles is going to drop down tremendously. The retention value is going to drop down tremendously, the resale value. And it's just such a shame because the electric vehicle companies don't talk about this. The only company who actually understands this is NIO. So even if NIO offers premium electric vehicles, right? And these vehicles are really nice. They have a beautiful interior, beautiful exterior. They're luxury vehicles, so they have a high shelf life because they use the best metals and the best materials for the inside as well. They have up-to-date technology. They have advanced technology, 5G technology, cloud computing, and they also have this autonomous system called Nomi, which can interact with the user, which is similar to Siri, but for your car. These vehicles are always going to retain its value. Why? Because, again, you can simply just swap the battery out. So, because batteries are going to be the biggest factor in retention value because of range, even though NIO vehicles have relatively same amount of range as the current Teslas, which is 300 to 400 miles of range, when the solid state batteries come out, NIO users can swap it out for a solid state battery, but everybody else cannot, because NIO offers battery as a service, which allows their customers to swap their batteries out conveniently. It only takes 3 minutes. It doesn't cost a NIO user $14,000 just to swap out their battery. It's tremendously less because you're leasing the battery, but you're owning the vehicle itself. And that is why electric vehicle companies are going to go through this huge I don't know the right word for it, but the consumers are going to be pissed off. I would be pissed. And if you're looking for an electric vehicle, for example, today, you're better off buying a NIO if you could somehow ship it from China to the U.S. because at least, even if you're stuck with a NIO vehicle that has 300 to 400 miles of range, just like the higher echelons of Teslas, at least you could send it back to China and have your battery swapped out for a solid state battery, which offers 600 plus miles of range, and then have it shipped back. But NIO is probably going to be expanding to North America and Europe as we see. So I think it's really important that people understand that the resale and retention values of these vehicles will not be that high. And I don't know how traditional automakers or electric vehicle companies like Tesla or Xpeng are going to be able to accommodate their users. And it's a good thing that the users haven't caught on yet, because if they caught on, it might actually drastically decrease the sales. So I don't know. I think this is a huge service to the customers, and only NIO has figured this out because they have battery swapping. and the way that they, lease their vehicles or even sell their vehicles, and what they offer for the customer makes it worthwhile to invest in these vehicles. So I hope Elon Musk figures something out, because this is a really big thing, and I know that millions of electric vehicle users with less than 200 miles of range and less than 300 miles of range are going to be pissed when partial state solid state batteries come out by the end of 2022 with 600 plus, 700 plus, 800 plus miles of range. So yeah, I hope they figure something out. It's going to cost billions of dollars to fix this issue, or trillions of dollars, but at least NIO figured it out, and good for them, because everybody was downing NIO, but NIO actually understands something that the average consumer and the average investor does not.